Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Very good to see a fellow food producer and hunter-gatherer in the House in the chair today. Mr. Speaker, this bill was introduced to the House in 2010 by the Honourable Kate Wilkinson. It's gone through two different select committee processes. Two ministers have put huge effort into this. In the interim, and 4 years later, we're back in the House for the second reading of a very large and complex piece of legislation. When this bill first came into this, was promoted, I guess, by this House, I was in fact involved in local government, and I know local government was absolutely terrified of the potential ramifications of this bill, and spent a lot of resource, time, energy, frittered a lot of it away, as it turned out, in raising objection to it. Nonetheless, it got to a very satisfactory spot in the world. I think, and I think it's come back into the House in very good form, and I think as almost all the other speakers have agreed to, really. It's a piece of legislation that is essential for New Zealand. Firstly, it protects the safety of our own people, and secondly, it protects our reputation in the marketplace and goes a long way to ensuring that continues. It was a fascinating process, and we heard submissions from many of the bigger operators in the country and some of the very smallest. And, Mr. Speaker, I heard these submissions and took the opportunity to traverse the ranges into the Wairarapa and visit a Biddy Fraser-Davis and her 4 cows. Interestingly, they were called Dizzy, Holly, Patsy and Isabel. Yes. And she made cheese from each of those on a daily basis by hand. I think they voted green, as the chairman says. But it was a fascinating thing to do. And when you think about our opportunity in tourism that we have in this country and the new opportunity we've got through cycle trails and walking trails, this kind of industry, small cottage industry, is going to be a very important part of our future tourism thing. And this bill has enabled this to take place with a lot less cost involved than was envisaged when the bill was first promoted or the legislation was first promoted to the House. So we did consider a lot of issues in the course of this, and the select committee process was a fascinating one, I thought. Also, I think we have a pretty good select committee in the primary production sector, led by our dairy farming colleague from the I was going to say the Taranaki, but I better say the King Country, and Shane Arden. And of course, we get on pretty well as a select committee, and I think come to some pretty good conclusions. So despite some interesting discussions, the committee, under his expert leadership and with some very good input from all of its members, I think came to a conclusion which I've got much pleasure in supporting as it traverses its way through this House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Reno Tirakatini.
Well, kia ora, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to